It's a tale as old as time, to coin a phrase from a famous Disney song from a very acclaimed and legendary Disney film. But what is a tale that's old as time? Well, quite frankly, it's about a romance that many would say does not make sense or should not happen or should not be. And we have seen our share of that throughout all kinds of media. Whether it's in the comic books, whether it's in live action television shows, movies, animated shows and movies, we have seen our fair share. And with this, and I know people will say you've harped on it as much as you could. With this being the last season of Friendship is Magic, I think it's only appropriate to say that Rarity and Spike's relationship, friendship, situation, if you will, is one of those romances that belongs in this category of a tale that is old as time. Because you would not expect a character like Rarity and a character like Spike to be brought together in the manner that they have. But when one looks at it, it kind of makes sense. From a character standpoint, it makes sense. I mean, here you have, on one hand, Rarity, who, by all means, as other fellow fans have acknowledged, is the only true member of the main six, main seven, that has shown any kind of interest in romance. Has shown any kind of interest in having her Prince Charming, having her knight in shining armor. And yet, this whole time, she has had all of that and more right in front of her in the form of Spike. Spike, on the other hand, his character plays the role of someone that's willing to do whatever it takes to be with this one individual because they care about them so much. They're willing to do whatever it takes. They're even willing to put their own feelings aside to make them happy. And in the end, the end result is a happy ending for both, as both realize that what they've always wanted has always been right in front of them the whole time. That a dream is worth fighting for. And when that dream is worth fighting for, more than likely that dream will come true. And that's why, when you question why the staff at Hasbro, the staff at DHX and AllSpark Animation, why they would continuously pursue this, tease it, ship it, give it its moments here and there, is because they see the exact same thing that I'm talking about. They see someone like Rarity that eventually comes to the realization that that knight in shining armor, that Prince Charming she's been looking for her whole life, is already in front of her in the form of Spike. And with Spike, you look at someone who is fighting for his dream to be with this one person, this one pony that he cares about very much. That he has feelings that no one would ever expect a dragon like him to have. And he's doing whatever it takes to make that dream come true, and eventually he does. Or, in some cases, he still will. But This is what makes the Spike and Rarity relationship, friendship, whatever you want to call it, why it is made so unique. Because both have something the other wants. Both want to have a happy ending. And in the end, both realize that happy ending that they've always wanted, that dream they've always wanted to make a reality, is staring them straight in the faces, and sooner or later will become a reality. And the reason I bring this up is due to the fact that we have seen this in various amounts of media throughout the years, throughout the decades, the centuries. And it always ends up in the same way. It always ends up in the same way. With the one, in this case, the role of Rarity. It takes the person in the role of a Rarity to realize that what they have always wanted, that knight in shining armor, that Prince Charming, that happily ever after, has been staring them right in the face the whole time. And as far as someone like Spike, we have seen various characters in the role that Spike's been in, where they do whatever it takes to be with this individual, put their own personal feelings aside to make them happy, knowing that eventually, perhaps someday, that dream to be with them, that moment that they would wake up and realize that what they've always wanted was right in front of them, because you in the role that Spike's been put in have been doing whatever it takes to make them happy, even putting your own differences and personal feelings aside for their happiness, that someday you hope the dream that you want to make real becomes real when they open their eyes and see that what they've always wanted has been in front of them the whole time. I mean, we have seen this, like I said, in various forms of media throughout the years. One big example I used before was Family Matters. No matter how you think about it, or look at it, Laura and Steve kind of remind you of that in some ways. Laura and Steve remind you of that in so many ways. I mean, what did Steve do when he tried to continuously make his dream to be with Laura come true? He would put his own differences and personal feelings aside to make her be happy, to help her become happy. He would do whatever it takes to see her happy, even putting his fantasy, even putting his dream, I should say, to be with her on the back burner. But in the end, what happened? What happened in the end? Laura, what Steve had hoped for and was waiting for occurred. Laura opened her eyes and realized that what she'd always wanted, the knight in shining armor she'd always wanted, the Prince Charming, that happily ever after, was right in front of her the whole time. Because it was in the form of somebody that always put her best interest before his happiness before hers. And where are we seeing that now with MLP? Exactly, with Spike and Rarity. And with this being the last season, there's a lot of folks that are hoping that we kind of get something similar. Myself, personally, I hope we do. I hope we get some kind of resolution that puts Spike and Rarity together in an official, if not semi-official way. At least acknowledges that these two are now more than just friends. And I can understand, we all can understand, that hope for this, that there are those that don't want it to happen because they feel it just doesn't seem right. And like I said before, and I said with all due respect, that sometimes those people that don't want to see this happen are those that are in denial because they know eventually, somehow, some way it will. And that's pretty much the gist of it. It's pretty much the gist of it, folks. That in the end, when it's all said and done, Spike and Rarity are always going to be, no matter how it's fulfilled, no matter how it's accomplished, or what the resolution is, fans are going to have to live with the fact, whether they like to admit it or they don't, that Spike and Rarity are always going to be an integral part of the history of the phenomenon that was Friendship is Magic, and those people know it. But they have to, again, think about what I said. We have seen this in media before. We have seen in this kind of story play out before. And in the end, the result always happens to be, at most times, the person, in this case Spike, who puts the dream sometimes aside to see that they want to ensure that the one they dream of being with is happy. In the end, that dream becomes a reality, because the one they want to make happy, in this case being Rarity, will finally have their eyes open and realize that what they've always wanted, the knight in shining armor, the Prince Charming, that happily ever after, has been staring them in the face the whole time. And now all we have to do is wait. There's a lot of fans that hope we get something that shows resolution that favors that. But we'll have to wait and see, possibly to the end, and to see exactly what the resolution will be. And I think honestly Hasbro knows. The creative staff at DHX knows, and AllSpark Animation knows, that there's only one path of them to choose. And they know fans are going to expect them to take that path. And here's hoping that they do. But think about it, folks. In closing, think about it. Does this whole situation with Spike and Rarity seem familiar? Have you not seen it before? And what has always been that end result? Exactly. That end result has been a happily ever after for both, as they would end up together somehow. How one achieving their dream, making their dream become a reality, and the other waking up and realizing that what they've always wanted has been in front of them the whole time. But let me know what you guys think about it. Tell me what you think. Comment below. Because like the saying goes at the beginning, it's a tale as old as time. And you don't believe me? Check out the animated movie where that song came from, where that saying came from. And I'll talk to you all later.